What's up, RotoGrinders? I am your host today, TJ Zwarych. We are here for a early morning lineup HQ MLB breakdown. I am joined with the best baseball mind in the industry, Dave Potts. Cheese is good. How's it going, Cheese?
It's going all right. Yeah, we got a very early start today. So noon for you, I guess, is when it starts. It's like 11 a.m. here. Imagine being on the West Coast. You're like not even up yet and it started. It's breakfast baseball.
Yeah, I have been up for, I think, a record 14 minutes before this show began. And so I'm ready to dive into it. Kind of my first look was that we have a very interesting pitching slate. There's a few guys in particular who have been standing out. And one of my favorite things with these morning lineup HQ shows has been kind of taking a first look approach at this and making our way through the slate and getting our kind of first thoughts as the numbers go. So kind of looking at this early, both on FanDuel and DraftKings. We'll start with DraftKings. What stands out for you at pitching?
So the first thing is, I'm sure what you noticed, like there's 8 pitchers on the slate. 7 of them are good enough to play for me. Like even on like a bigger slate, almost all these guys would be in play. But when you look at the salary in the matchup and then the recent performance, to me, it's Morton and Singer. Morton is like as good as ever all of a sudden. I was worried earlier in the season that he was old and on his way down, but he's perked right back up to his normal, even better than his normal elite self. I think he's the SP1. I have no issue with Bassett or kind of chasing riskier upside with Josiah Gray. But for me, it's just Morton up top. And I think the ownership will be spread out enough amongst all these guys that you play who you like. And I like Morton. And then with this cheaper stuff, I've always loved Tariq Skubal, and he finally kind of started to turn it around last start. But to me, Singer is the better play. I'm also a Singer fan in general. Like his skills are just very good, underrated, underappreciated. And he's facing Detroit. So for me, that's just kind of the very simple pairing that, well, I don't know, maybe it'll be the chalk. I don't think there's any mega chalk. So I'm going Morton Singer.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it will be the chalk, but I don't think it's going to be anything so unreasonable that it's going to become a problem. Skubal to me is the most interesting one to pivot off those guys with. I talked a little bit before his last start that price keeps dropping and it's going to be close to getting time to jump back on the ship. The matchup wasn't really the spot for me that I wanted to do it last week, but this one is a little bit more appealing. Skubal would probably be the one I'm most interested in tournaments. Chris Bassett to me is the biggest risk reward guy. Atlanta is a lineup that's just full of power and but also full of strikeouts. So he's a very interesting one to me for tournaments. And those would be the 4 of the 8 that I think I'd be looking to prioritize. On the bats side of the slate, what are the stacks and some of the offenses that are really standing out to you?
Yeah, so it gets, weird anytime you have pretty much every pitcher is good. And even Chris Flexen, who's kind of the left out pitcher, is kind of real life okay in his own special way. But I would still say Washington is the top of the board. But with Weiss, it's really kind of only Soto and Bell. And then it's a bunch of, boy, am I really playing these guys? I think I like the just kind of chasing the upside, which on this slate for me is the Braves, the Twins, and the Mariners. I would love to not pick on Chris Bassett, but small slate and you have the Braves. I mean, you just have to play some Braves. Josiah Gray is hit or miss. Like he's been hit recently and he could strike out 12 of these guys, but sketchy control at times, a ton of fly balls. That's a, break the slate potential. And same for the Twins. Ashby is really good sometimes, but sometimes you can't find the zone. And then you get base runners and one big swing. So that's the top of my board. Nationals, sort of, but mostly just Soto and Bell. And then I'm going Braves, Twins, Mariners.
Yeah, I think the Mariners are going to be my top stack on the board personally, just because Josiah Gray, it's like you said, he's hit or miss. He has a tendency to get wild. So on a small slate, I think I kind of want to take a shot there. Seattle's going to be my favorite team. And then Juan Soto with Washington is probably going to end up being just my favorite overall pitcher on the board here. And then I love the Minnesota call. Minnesota, I think, is a great team to go with as well, facing a lefty. And Ashby can be very good at times, but he also can get a little bit wild. He's a bit reverse splitsy with his strikeouts, but he gets a ton of ground balls to right-handed batters. And this entire Minnesota lineup is very good at hitting the ball in the air. So Buxton, Correa, Polanco, I think all of them are just fantastic. I have no issue with Miranda, Sanchez, even Jeffers if he gets in the lineup at catcher as well. Other than that, I like Seattle as my top stack. Minnesota's probably 2 for me. Soto is the top bat on the board, and I agree. Atlanta, as well as Bassett, like that side of that game is kind of the make or break risk reward tournament spot, because Atlanta's a team that could strike out 12 times to Bassett, or they could put up 8 runs.
Yeah, really, this whole slate on both sides is so much like that. Like, there's just boom or bust everywhere, and I feel like this is really a spread it out slate, because all the big upside teams could very easily fail spectacularly. You know, it's not like maybe they only score 4 runs or maybe they score 12. It's like maybe they score 0 and strike out 12 times, or maybe they score 12. So I just want to get a few different combos of each of those stacks, full well knowing that at least one of them is going to just be a total bust. And I'm always happy to finish last if I have a lineup also on the other side of the standings somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Same boat there. This definitely, not that it's ever a thing that I gravitate towards in baseball, but on a smaller slate here, this definitely does feel like the kind of thing that I wouldn't want to be playing cash games on this one. It would be tournaments exclusive.
Yeah, that's definitely where I would be as well.
And so before we get out of here, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. I got my Spider-Man shirts in celebration of the Spidey bomb that has been hot lately. For the last 5 days, the Spidey bomb has hit. So
didn't you Seager on us yesterday, and it was bottom of the 9th, and he's like, I forgot I was supposed to Spidey bomb.
Bottom of the 9th, Corey Seager came through to put that game to extra innings, and then it didn't matter. Glorious. Oakland came through in that game, but it mattered for the Spidey bomb. So shout out Corey Seager for getting that one in. And I believe Cheese, we're on together for Crunch Time later today. So we'll have a Spidey bomb coming for that slate. Before we get out of here, do you have any one-off home run calls for the early slate?
I think we have to assume we're going to see a Seattle home run. And I'm going to go with Suarez.
Yep, I love that a lot. My high-priced, I think, most likely guy to hit a home run today is going to be Byron Buxton. And then if we're getting a little bit cheaper, I like sticking in that same game. It's time for Jesse Winker to wake back up after his suspension. I think he knocks one out of the park here as well. That'll do it for this morning's Lineup HQ MLB breakdown. Thank you so much for joining us. Hit the like button. I am TJ for my wonderful co-host Cheese. That'll do it. Good luck today, Grinders.